We're at the farm, a little sneak peek for you guys. Pretty special to be in here. Alex is going to show us around, but first, this farm's kind of new.
Yeah, this is new for us. So aquaculture is definitely the future when it comes to this hobby, and we're definitely trying to be a part of that. So this has only been going for about 6 months, so we're just starting to finally start getting corals in here and loading up. Obviously, the tanks have to cycle and do their thing. But I'm going to show you guys what we got going on so far and show you some real cool corals.
So before you had the farm, you did a lot of this in the actual retail store,
yes,
which is very space limiting. So yes. I'm glad to see this is a huge upgrade. There's going to be a lot of awesome stuff going on here. Mm-hmm. But first thing I want to take a look at is this is actually where all the corals that are sold online are.
Correct.
So there's a lot of variety in here. And you keep it here so it's just easier to track when it's online and selling it and packing it up. You got your shipping station here.
Yep.
So where all can people find Living Reef corals?
So obviously our website, livingreeforlando.com. It gets updated weekly. There's always a ton of stuff on there. The variety is going to be amazing. You're definitely going to see some stuff on the website you're not going to see in the store. A lot of the nicer, really crazy collector stuff does stay back here in the farm. So if anybody local ever wants to check it out, you let us know. We'll bring you back here. But livingreeforlando.com. And then we also do a lot of sales on Reef to Reef. We do, flash sales and live sales. So stay tuned to that. And to get that info, you can do a couple things. If you jump on our website, you can sign up to our newsletter. That's one way to keep in touch. Obviously, you could like all our socials, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. And then the other thing is we have a text program, and you can sign up to that and receive updates. And any of those things, if you do them, you'll get a coupon code for your first purchase too. So
you guys are very engaging. Lots of places to kind of get your stuff. So definitely check this out. And you also see a lot of the corals that are going to the LX will be linked over to you guys so you can see some of the exact stuff that's going in. So a big old tank of stuff for people to buy online. But I gotta say, I'm absolutely in love with this one here. SPS are probably one of my absolute favorite corals, my least favorite to keep, but my favorite coral. And there's a beautiful variety in here. Lots of millies, tons of acros. And this is not an easy thing to keep this beautiful and colorful. So they are a lot harder to keep. Like, what is specialized care that you guys do for something like this?
So when it comes to the acros, yeah, they're definitely, SPS in general is a little harder to keep. If you cater to them and you hit all the core basics right, and lighting, this, that, and the other, once they take off, they take off. So that's my favorite part about them. But we strive to get to that next level where everything is just absolutely as best as it can be, as rainbow as it can be, the best polyp section it can have, all that type of stuff. So the parameters are very important. The lighting's very important.
They have to be very, very stable.
Stability is number one for sure, absolutely.
And I see them talking about lighting, is that we are lit by what looks like all radions pretty much here.
Yep, so the farm runs off of all Gen 5 radions. There's a mixture of Pro and Blues in here. Pretty much everything in the farm is Ecotech, minus maybe a couple things, but everything runs off of Vectras and MP40s and radions. So big shout out to Ecotech.
Should be an easy transition over to our tank because we use the same exact stuff. So beautiful up here, tons of SPS, but I gotta say the size of this sump and refugium is a bit insane. So if you look down here, there are 10 7-inch filter socks.
Yeah.
You've got all of this as a refugium, which is great for nutrient control and live food source, but it's probably one of the biggest refugiums I've seen on a system. And you're lighting it with a bright red and white spectrum, you said?
Yes. So they're lights specifically made for the macroalgae. A lot of red. And these guys kind of run on a reverse cycle, so we run them about 16 hours a day, starting early in the evening to later in the morning, and that keeps the macros just growing and exporting all those nutrients.
That is just a massive sump, but obviously you need a lot of filtration to keep everything this beautiful. Yeah. So as we move on down here, and you said as this system, as the farm is still a bit newer, a lot of tanks are still in the cycling stage, so you'll see here you've got fish in there just kind of getting everything stabilized before you move stuff over. You can't jump a cycle too quickly, especially in something like this.
Especially not with all the crazy high-end coral and stuff. You gotta let the tanks do their thing.
So this is just going to be basically more grow out of some of your collector type of items.
So all the grow out kind of starts here. What you guys saw on the back is just what kind of holds online coral. There's a little bit of, there's some SPS in there, but that's just now while we're cycling. But going forward this way, the way the tanks are broken down is it's essentially 3 tanks per system. So you'll have like what we call like the mother tanks, and that's those 2 big tanks with a lot of rocks, sand, substrate.
Okay.
You know, it almost runs like a display tank. And then when we frag out of these systems, we'll have the colonies growing here. We move them over to the smaller tank, and this is kind of where we keep all the frags on the rock and stuff.
Nice.
And all that is all plumbed together into one massive sump, and that's kind of how it gets broken down. Each one of these are a little over 2,000 gallons.
Wow.
And there will be several of these runs all the way down to the end of the farm once we're finished.
When it's all complete and done here, like we're gonna have 20,000+ gallons.
Yeah,
in here?
so about 25,000 if you
Wow.
can't count the tanks under the tank. So this kind of has double-decker tanks. So there's tanks up here, but then underneath it, there's tanks connected to the sumps too that hold corals. So it's corals up top,
Maximizing
corals
all
on the
of
bottom.
the space.
Absolutely.
Very, very smart.
Yep.
The more corals that you can grow, of course, the better for
Absolutely.
environment and more selection and stuff.
Yep.
So this is where everything kind of grows, heals, and goes from there.
Yeah, we break it down. This is like, so this whole middle section, all these like 7,000 gallons, by the time we get to the end, this will all be mostly LPS and soft coral.
Okay.
This whole run here, which will be another 9, tanks of these big systems, this will all be SPS. And then on the wall, we have another 9 tanks, and those tanks do, part of them do quarantine, part of them are for grow out or intake, different things. The quarantine is very important when it comes to growing coral. So all the corals here go through a pretty strict 12-week quarantine, and they get bounced down all those tanks till they're
What are you looking for?
ready.
In a quarantine, most people don't think about quarantine coral, they think about it for fish.
Yeah.
What are you looking for when you're quarantining a coral?
Obviously, a part of this hobby that doesn't get talked about enough is these things can have pests on them. So obviously that's number 1. Number 2, we want to make sure the corals are as healthy as possible once they've transitioned and acclimated to aquarium life.
Okay.
That when the customer receives these corals, they're going to be as hardy as they can be. They hopefully by then they're acclimated to aquarium life enough that even if a customer does have a small up or down in their tank or anything like that, the corals they're not going to be as sensitive as a fresh coral.
Yeah, true. So they're very well conditioned. Okay.
Absolutely.
Looking through here, as you said, like your mother tanks, and they do look like beautiful displays. You have so much different variety, like a lot of chalices.
Yep.
The amount of gold and nice torches in the middle there, those are hard to find.
Yeah, there's some really nice Holy Grail torches in there, a bunch of different gold ones, dragon souls, just a bunch of nice stuff. The Ghani Garden's beautiful.
The Ghani Garden might be my favorite thing ever. I'm obsessed. There's some beautiful color varieties in there, and I definitely have to have some Ghanis for the LX for sure. Definitely one of my favorite LPS on those. Got cool little mushrooms over here. But it's nice to see the big picture of what their frag is going to become.
Yeah.
And what is that thing?
That's a Space Invader mycelium. It's a chalice.
Okay.
That's one of the massive colonies we have of that coral. It grows really fast for us. We have a lot of big colonies, and we're getting to the point where the tanks are nice and cycled, and they're doing really well. So we're starting to move over all these big colonies, and that's pretty much what this is going to be. It's just going to hold big old colonies and get fragged down all the time to provide nice little baby frags for everyone.
This is pretty cool. It's a trio of encrusting. What are those?
Yep, those are Montes. They're some of the nicer varieties. Undados or Paloensis, and those are like the rainbow ones. So
that's
really
pretty cool on the branch, and they're kind of like cresting over and hanging down.
Yeah, that was in our display tank. We're getting ready to knock it down, but it's real cool that they grew together like that.
All right, and then over here is kind of before too much goes in the cycling stage. You've gotten the rock to color up. You've got your fish in there, and then that's when you'll start putting more mother colonies in here.
Exactly. This tank's going on about 3 months. So this is going to be all acros pretty much. We've put in a couple tester pieces. They're actually doing amazing. Polyp extension is really good. Color's getting really good. So I would say we're pretty close to being ready here, but this is what it looks like when it's, when it's cycling and stuff. So
I have to say your rockscaping's really good. I like it. I like it a lot. Very nice and open. So as you see, there's a lot of going on here, but the main thing to look at is how much more room you guys are going to be growing this farm.
Yeah, so this just keeps on coming back.
So you're going to have tanks coming all the way
down to here. So
all the way to here? Okay.
These are the last stands for this side. So this side has all the stands ready, and then we're waiting on the tanks and stands for this. That should be here soon, but it just keeps on coming down. Each of these tanks, to give you guys an idea, I don't know if if on camera you can tell, but these are massive 8-foot by 4-foot wide aquariums. They're not little tanks. These are big old tanks, and these here are 8 foot by 36. So those are real big, long tanks too. And you know, once it's done, there should be quite a bit of coral in here.
So there's a lot more to come from Living Reef.
Yep.
Hopefully we'll be able to come back and visit as the farm gets filled up even more, see where the progress is. We're really excited about the build of the Reef LX with you guys.
Yeah, we're stoked to be part of it.
There's going to be a lot of awesome stuff coming our way.
Oh yeah, we'll get you guys hooked up.
Thank you.